Okay. Okay. Um, all right. What's happening? Uh, so we did some troubleshooting and some Googling. And I got to admit, I'm real jazzed because on the one hand, I had to dump my progress from yesterday. Luckily, it was only 3 hours, but we made some good progress. So it was disappointing, but I'm really happy to say that I found, or somebody found, uh, they were having the same problem, and I'll explain what that is if anyone's interested. But I'll probably explain what the problem was anyway, even if there's no interest. So, okay, here we are, a minute in. I basically, I'm happy to say that while we dumped the progress from yesterday or whenever that was, it wasn't yesterday, was it the day before? We figured out what was wrong. The newest update to Photoshop does not allow for a new window to be. What I usually do is I'm working on this window on Photoshop, and then I have a duplicate window in Photoshop that does everything this one does. So when I use a tool like a paintbrush, I scribble, 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 and the minute I let go of that tool off the tablet, it indicates the mark on this other window. And the other window is in the next room. I'm going to go look at it now. But basically, the other window that I'm talking about is on a big screen TV in the next room. So I can go like that. Oh, Taz, what's up, buddy? Thank you for the Triforce and the wise, your wise puppy pal. How's everything going? I'll be right back. I'm just going to look at something. And it works. Oh my God. God, I was just boring anyone who will listen about what happened yesterday. I lost the time lapse recording in the next room. Wasn't it wasn't recording. So I have this same window that I'm scribbling on here on a TV in the next room, and then I record that screen so I don't have to zoom in and out. Like, I can zoom in and out on this one and work on it, but on the other one, anyway, on the other one, it wasn't updating every brush stroke. It was updating every time I did something in Photoshop. Anyway, it was a problem. It's a bug with the new Photoshop upgrade. So I just downgraded, erased my progress, and we're going to start over. So that's good. Not unlike sort of choking in Gannon's lair for the 500th time and saying, well, we just spent about, 45 minutes and don't have anything to show for it. In this case, it was 3 hours, but it's really fine because you can always just start again. Okay. I'm uh I'm also I'm also very close to I want to set up like a I'm convinced now that my Game and Watch, that's the way I'm going to get my PB on Zelda 1. Just get I'm going to really shave off some time with that. Uh what I'm finding is the lag is better on that thing on the Game and Watch. And and I even think I'd like to see if we can run an experiment on this, but I think that the dark nuts in 8 are slower. You know, like the way you somebody had mentioned that, when you see the dark nuts, if you're playing on like a LCD screen and using a ROM or an emulator, the dark nuts move like a third as fast or something like that. And I think on Game and Watch they move more slowly. I don't know how that would be. I don't know what the software is they're using for that thing, but all in all, it just the controls are better. My sword whipping in the is just like it's responsive. So I've been practicing on that with the speed run, and I think what I'm going to do is very soon find a way to record. I think what I need to do is get those Ray-Ban glasses with the like camera in there, and then stream from those, and just hold the Game and Watch very still. Anyway, just a thought. Could be interesting. I wanted to see how the stream would react to that. If it would be palatable to watch something like that for 40 minutes. So anyway, a lot of new exciting technical things going on. How's your run? How are your runs going? I'm guessing you're at work, but if you can chat, let me know. No problem at all if you just hang in. All right, so back to back to business here. Okay, so we've got Andrea Canning, the lovely, lovely Andrea Canning, Dateline host. We're starting over, and let's get into it. So, what time is it? 1:30. Perfect. We are going to let's lock all the other layers. Now we have our mixing brush, and we're going to approach this much the same way as we did yesterday. So, going to get our actually, let's do this a little bit more. Let's do this a little bit more. Let's mix up these colors right here. We'll do it live. So we're looking for like an orange-y, darky, kind of darkish, something like this. Okay. Oh no. I was looking at that too, and it looked like people were sort of mocking the idea of that. Not mocking it, but just sort of saying like, okay, I don't think this will ever be a problem, but just in case, here it's now a legit thing. So, but you know, How's it going with you, Cinnabon? You've been having a good summer? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not any faster with it necessarily, but I think it's just more reliable, and you don't get these weird gritting things happening as much. Like when I'm doing it, when I'm going on the Switch, it like Link will just sort of turn around all of a sudden, and I'm pressing up, and it's like he just goes backwards, and that's you can move past it and you can keep going, but it's just I'd rather have a more reliable. So okay, so I got my orange, and we will be. I am, yes, yep, the NES controller, and partly it's just being so used to the little D-pad on on the Game and Watch. Like the tiny D-pad is like, it's really, once you get used to it being small, it's like fun. It's like you have almost have more control. But then when I switch to the NES one, it feels pretty clunky. So it takes a while for me to kind of get acclimated to the larger one if I've been practicing elsewhere. So that's part of the problem, is just like getting used to it. But what I'm saying is, like, I mean, it's undeniable that you have these like little like laggy kind of glitchy things that happen when you're playing on Switch. All right, so I'm gonna. How can I do this? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and get like a lighter shade of this by. No. How do I do this? I want to call up my little. Oh boy. What was that? Well, forgive me here. Linda over at Facebook is going to have to get mad that I'm picking colors off the photo. I can mix the colors, man. I've been mixing these colors for 25 years. I know. I know. You're right about the portrait. I mean, let's just get this. Let's just get this done. God. Yeah. Oh man. I got to do my little painting retreat with my painting friends up in the Poconos. And I forget, honestly, whether I mentioned Linda to them, but it would have been very therapeutic for me to, yeah, exactly. And it rained cats and dogs, but we had a house that we could go to this year, which for the first time. So by the way, I'm just going to pretend I have like a giant paintbrush here. So usually my family comes, but this time, given the rain, we decided we would, leave it to the hardcore and let the amateurs off the hook. All right. So I couldn't be more thrilled to now, although I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid under the best of circumstances, but I'm now thinking that I gotta check the other monitor to make sure that. Oh yeah. Oh, it's going. It works. So, yeah. It would have been therapeutic to talk to my art friends about this. But these, those guys are like always, they always paint from life, meaning not from photos ever. And it's a big difference. I mean, like, actually, no, forget it. They paint from photos. But we all paint from photos and we all paint from life. And it really just depends what you're doing. So my big gripe to this day is that she had one complaint about the work, and then the goalpost moved when I showed that I did it by hand and not with a filter. So like first she was like, you did Control F and just did a digital filter on this photograph. And I said, no, I didn't, and I proved it. And then she moved the goalpost. Okay, so anyhow, what's going? Did you get up to your Pennsylvania retreat this summer? Ooh, look at that. That wasn't good. Here. I'm going to move this up here. Oh, shoot. Hang on a sec. I'm just using my digital filters here. Oh, God. Come on. Nice. Oh, that's great. Even in the winter, do you go up there? Nice. Well, we went to Milford, Pennsylvania, which was about an hour from Beach Lake, in an attempt to avoid the rain. And we survived. Huh? What was that? Weird. Well, one thing that's going to happen over the course of this painting adventure is I'm going to learn how to use these tools. Okay, so let's get in here and okay. Now, what's unfortunate about Photoshop is that it only shows brush strokes like that when they're finished. So, like, it won't show the animation of the brush stroke. I think it would take too much memory or something to, like, have that going on a separate window. I guess it could be done. I don't know. I don't know enough about computer processing, but people were saying, no, you don't, like, after every brush stroke is finished, it then shows up on the other monitor. But it would be cool if you could see like the whole thing like unfold in the time lapse. But I'm going to need to paint with real oil paint. Linda will be happy to know if I want to show that. All right. Is it really Linda or is it Deborah? Oh, God. All right, so see all this like weird smudgy brush stuff happening in the background? We can kind of indicate the brickwork there, and we're going to as we develop more, but let's just brush it in a little bit so we're not too confused by the background. Yeah, we'll invite special guest Linda on here to sit for a live portrait. Oh boy. All right, squint all the way down. Here's another one. Oh yeah, also, I realized that my Instagram handle, I changed the username slightly to Chris Eastland Art. And it didn't update it obviously didn't update on my Twitch profile. So if you want to see how the Keith Morrison one turned out, it's over there. Well, I think you must have seen it because I stopped after somewhat thinking I was going to keep working away at it for hours more, but I was like, I'm done with this. I think it was plaguing me. I wasn't working on it because I knew it was I knew I was starting to beat the thing to death a little bit. All right. And so I just decided, I looked at it through fresh eyes and I said, okay. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I'm going to keep the series going. I'm actually working on a portfolio of illustrations, and I'm considering these illustrations because they're digital and they're yeah. Anyway, I'm working on a portfolio for reasons to be announced. And the same old good old reasons to just have a portfolio. But once I have the portfolio together, I'm going to be lobbing it around to try to, I don't know, campaign for to get involved with other kinds of projects. So I'm just going to hit these. All right, so we're not going to go too crazy. We're going to finish the background. Now, I think it was good that I spent yesterday or 2 days ago, doing what I did. Because now we can really I'm a little less sort of scared of the materials, and I'm a little more confident. It's always like a little bit of knocking off the dust. Okay, so good news. We've got the background done. Okay. Well, F it. This is what we usually do in the studio. So when you have a model, paint the head, because the head takes time and you need the model there. So this is what I would do in the studio. I would try and get the head situated on the canvas. And that means basically finding where the hair meets the background, blurring the edge slightly. It's really just, as I say, and Linda can attest to, is just glorified paint by numbers. Now, the thing about hair, too, is... Wait a second. Sample all layers. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. There's so many different colors going on in the hair, and they're shifting so quickly that you kind of need to I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to explain what you need to do, and it's hard to do what you need to do, but you have to basically start with your shadows, which I didn't in this case, but that's what you should do. Okay. So you start with your shadows, you kind of pay attention to the boundary lines there. Okay. Shadows over here. Oh, you know what I wanted to do, actually? Maybe I'll do this on a break. But I wanted to do like an Instagram story summoning people, anyone who wants to see what's going on here. Let them know I'm doing it. All right, so you're just sort of blocking in the big colors here, like shadows. Let's get in here. Okay. Hit these darks. Zoom out. Back and forth. All right, let's move. Oh yeah, another thing that was happening last time that I really, when I was working on this painting, I was looking at things a little differently. Like, I think because I was on that painting trip with the model, I started to get back to the basics a little bit more of studio painting, and or not studio painting, but just painting from a model. And that's always reinvigorating, it helps the practice. So I'm going to be trying to approach this a little differently. Less about being photographic the way I was with the Keith one, and more about the kind of expressive thing. All right, what was that? So you can, what I mean is basically, I'm not going to find out exactly where that lock of hair lives. I'm just going to indicate it and then solve it later if I need to, if it's distracting. But yeah, you start to see. Okay. Now, let's get some shadows in here. So what I was doing last time, if you were here, was I was flicking my eye back and forth somewhat to see, okay, what's it look like on the left? And rather than, yes, I'm always flicking my eye back and forth, but I was trying to do it not as though I'm looking at a photo, but I was sort of trying to think about it more like, here, let's see. I'm going to bookmark that thought and then come back to it, but maybe I can show some examples. But right now I'm just kind of trying to get back into the groove. So, you start with this gray palette, whatever you want to call it, the gray canvas. And you're looking for shadows and lights. In this case, the light is extremely frontal. So there aren't a lot of shadows. But there are some. So we try to find them. All right, over here, there's a shadow. So I can start grabbing the colors that I already have down on the painting. Okay, well, all right, so you see that dark shadow I'm putting in there? That's supposed to be here. And then you see how it goes from dark to light really quick? I'm going to pick like sort of a light color and blur it back into the dark. That's probably too extreme, but at least it's an indication of, it's not too harsh. See that? Yeah, that is too harsh actually. All right. I can feel the air temperatures heating up out there. It was supposed to be like 70, 75 today. 80 tops. Let's grab a highlight. So you can kind of knock those in. Okay, we'll just get them all. There's one here. We know where they live. Huh. All right, I think I know what happened there. Wow. Weird. It's like I'll never be able to recoup that. So it's blurring the charcoal layer into the mouth. So I feel like what's this? Don't want charcoal pencil. Real oils. Yeah. Why is that happening? I don't know, man. I don't know anything about painting with digital. All I know how to do is draw, but all right, I think we'll figure it out. I think if you just paint enough, if you just scribble scrabble over it enough. I've noticed that in like the kindergarten, first grade age group, there's this big thing about scribble scrabble. Like the kids are competing for who, obviously they're competing for who's good at drawing. They're always doing that. Or not who's good at drawing, but like what the draw is, the drawing of something, and is it good? And obviously some kids are more interested in drawing things, and other kids just like to make a mess. And I like I overhear little conversations like, why are you just scribble scrabbling? Like as though that's like a big problem, that you should be drawing like a horrible stick figure with like hair sticking out and like giant eyelashes. Like that's what you should be spending your artistic capital on. It's like, that's just scribble scrabble, what you're doing. Like what I'm doing over here, this is legit. But I guess, you got to start somewhere. So I guess they're probably right. Like you should just try to, if you want to learn how to draw representationally, then it's a good idea to try not to scribble scrabble too much. But who knows? I have friends who've told me that I should try scribble scrabbling more. I've done it a couple of times. I thought it was fun. But it's all about for me, it's often about the reason that I started painting this way with the realism and like making it look like something is because it's kind of like putting on a show and getting applause. People are like, oh, like, that's so good. And when you hear that, you're like, oh yeah, well, how about this? What, you like that? So it's a little bit mercenary that I paint this way because I still like to get the applause, and you can get applause for painting scribble scrabbles. It's called expressionist abstract painting. And I when I say it's scribble scrabble, I don't mean that it's a bad thing. I just mean it's like, it's primal. They're doing their meditative thing in a different way. My meditative art thing is, kind of not letting myself wander. Like I want it to represent something. And so the brush strokes I have to concentrate, and I have to keep my cool and pay attention and put things in the right place. But I can't just sort of be completely improvisational the way an abstract expressionist might. Responding to what's on the page already. That's often what I learn when I read about abstract painters or hear them talk about painting. that's often what they talk about, which is sort of like getting in the zone through letting the brush work, the things that go on the canvas inspire the next things that go on the canvas. And for me, that's true to an extent, but always there's this little problem of having something on the right here that I'm trying to paint and something on the left that's the painting. So if I put a black brush stroke here, if I were an abstract expressionist, I might say, ooh, I like that, but I want this to like balance it. You'd react to what's there and just sort of like put some calligraphy down. I don't know. But for me, I can only put that black here, because if I put it here right in the middle of the arm, that's a problem. It's not, there is no dark smudge on her arm. So I'm relegated, I'm confined as a representational painter. And so I'll never truly be able to react in the moment. But I think there are certain painters who kind of transcend that. They get so good at seeing that they no longer really need to think about where the brush strokes go. They just feel the quality. The brush stroke just like comes out of them more in that kind of meditative, improvised manner. So just a little bit of my musings about what constitutes abstract painting and the I don't know, not what constitutes it, but what when you're not confined to a roadmap, such as in Scribble Scrabble painting, you can be more free to react purely to what's happening on the canvas through you, rather than involving as well this third character, which is the subject matter. So tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. Linda, what do you think? All right. So now another interesting thing is you'll notice, I mean, I'm not hiding it. You'll notice I have this charcoal underdrawing here. And another way to do this is to not have that at all. So imagine having you just have to kind of guess, where am I going to put this brush stroke for the top of the head? And where's there would be no line here, so I would just say, okay, well, maybe it's there, and I would be too far to the left. So my point is that there are ways to be even less controlled. All right, let's do this. All right, so part of this is to be more free. I mean, I'd like to be a little more free as a painter. I think that's the case with so many artists or any kind of craft or profession. Like, you don't want to always be second guessing yourself. You want it to be more fluid, and that comes obviously with practice. But it also you have to work on it. You have to work on that. You have to constantly be reminding yourself, stop getting hung up in the details. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where I alluded to that I might discuss some other things that come up when I paint, and that's one of them. Like, okay, those little jewelry things, do they need to be exact? No. But how, let yourself off the hook in certain areas and try to be more fluid or improvisational. A lot of people start out very tight, and then as they age or their career advances and they paint more, they start to get more loose. Other people become tighter and tighter as they age as artists. Lots of examples out there. Okay. Who knows? Let's get over here and hit this. Scribble, scrabble. All right, we're coming up on the hour mark. Now, to be fair, I was not drawing the whole time. I think I was yapping and checking out technical problems. All right. Really, this is where things start to get a little boring. You're just filling in black here. All right. We just have to keep pressing on. So as I'm working on this, I'm going to be thinking about how the time lapse, what the audio will be for the time lapse. Andrea has a nice sort of cadence to her stuff, her reporting. I will not embarrass myself by trying to imitate it, but I think we'll probably do a good job trying to find a good excerpt from one of her reports. Andrea provides the kind of like motherly, often talking about like the human relationships, within the dynamics of people involved in the Dateline episodes, and like she's really good with talking with the kids, and so I like that kind of angle on things, because when you got like Dennis Murphy, Keith is sensitive too, but I would say Dennis and Josh Mankiewicz are like, they could use a little refresher in the old bedside manner department. Bedside Manor, is that what it's called? Yeah. But they're funny. I mean, everybody has their place. But Keith, man, Keith is getting up there. He's an older feller. All right, let's scribble scrabble. One of the great things about this is just be a little less cautious. Speed up, okay? All right, how we doing? Now. All right, we got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left, and then I'm going to make sure that the screen recording is still going. And it is. That's a good thing. And then I want to turn on the cold air a little bit. And then just continue. So, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Get in here. Scribble scrabble. Why are you scribble scrabbling? And it's kind of sad because, like, even the most confident kid will feel like, am I scribble scrabbling? Am I doing something wrong? And I've noticed that with my son. He's like adamant that he's doing the right thing. And you hear his friends will say something about scribble scrabble. Because he knows there's like a value system. You know, he'll be like, he'll talk about how other people are scribble scrabbling. So he knows. Okay. I think we're done. We're just going to block in the rest of this shirt because that's what we do. And then we'll take a little break. Make sure everything is working right. I was a little lazy there. All right, let's zoom out. Okay, we'll leave it like this for a few minutes while I get situated with the other stuff. All right, here we go. We got the air on. BRB. Let's get rid of the BRB sign. And let's get back to scribble. Scribble, scrabble. So, where are we? So, look, if you squint and take a good look at the arms. So if I squint all the way down, the reason I picked this gray color for the canvas is because more or less it matches the tones of like the flesh tones. And so yeah. But again, if you squint, you'll see that there's certain rhythms here that are not gray within the so for instance, let's just grab the shadow color, zoom out, center it up, and then what I mean by that is like you want to break this up a little bit. Okay? Put a little indication of the shadow there between the arms. I don't know what this is. This is probably shadow, shadow, shadow. Just break that up a little bit more. Hands are fine. I don't see a lot going on there that I need to indicate with the hands. Maybe just a little hint of this halftone here. Okay. Because we're going to get this is going to be curling around here soon. All right. So there, we're not going crazy working up the arms or the hands. I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, which is simply the fact that I haven't done anything on the face. Okay. So let's do what we always do, which is we go back to the core features, the nose. The nose, I'll tell my story that I like to tell. Once I was in art school, and this lady who was a classical pianist. In fact, she was a child prodigy, and later in life she wanted to pursue her passion of being an artist, a fine artist, portrait painter. So she was at our art school learning how to paint. And she said, "Nick," to one of the teachers, "what color is the nose?" And this guy, Nick, is a friend of mine and very funny guy, but very charming, extremely polite. And he said, I don't know. Peach? Because and that's a joke for portrait painters. But when somebody asks what color something is, it's kind of it's really all the colors, right? Like it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that until you mix it up and get the right tone. So meaning not too dark, not too light, but just about tonally correct. And then it doesn't really matter so much the color. The color can be refined and found later if you get the tone correct. So not everybody works that way, but at our school we did. So it was very funny to hear that story. What color is the nose? Well, you're looking at it. Anyhow. Peach. That's a good description. That would probably be the right crayon to use to draw the nose. Okie doke. So we're doing eyebrows, we're doing bottom of the nose, we're doing this sort of tonal swath under the highlight on the nose. Okay. Grab it over here. Now, so what we're doing is just kind of slowly by slowly trying to get into the core features here. Okay. Good. Get a nice dark for the corner of the eye lash there. Jump over here, same deal. Just indicate, we're not doing like each individual lash. That's not what we need to do now. We just need to have a tonal placeholder, which is in this case a darkest dark. Let's pop in this blue for the eye. Okay. Doesn't really matter. Nice to have something there. Also over in the left side. Probably what I'm going to do tomorrow or the next time is going to be to try to get a stream going on YouTube, because I would like to test the kind of market out there. Who else is out there? Who else wants to see this sort of stuff? All right, there we go. So unlike yesterday, when I got into the arms and stuff, I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to be working more on the features, the core features. And quick, you got to hurry up. I want to get this done quick. Sit there laboring over it. Grab a brush and just knock it in here. Okay. Now that's a little crazy to have just like the pink lips floating on the gray, but we'll address it. Basically, you need something there. I said this last time. I say it every time. You need to have something down so that you know whether it's correct or not. There's nothing to compare it to. You'll never know. if it's correct or not. All right. Well, here's what I'll do. Get this. Grab this. Grab the eyelash. We gotta hit this little mark here. Okay. Get this one, another halftone. A halftone is not a shadow and it's not a light. It's somewhere in the middle. All right, this is more of a shadow relative to the tonal range on this photo. So we'll treat it like a shadow. Okay, so what else? All right, so my goal today, unlike yesterday again, is to block in the tones here. So we have something. I'm gonna practice what I preach here. And I'm not gonna fuss about trying to get things accurate or even detailed to any degree. I'm just gonna plop in my big shapes, broad shapes. Okay. I get something like that. You know, there's so much going on in the hair, so much going on everywhere. But you need to have a basic roadmap that's set, a little bit like what we were talking about earlier. You need to have a roadmap in order to get into those details. You can't just act like a printer, you know, like you can't just go like moment by moment, because I want it to be fresh. I want it to look fresh. I want it to look not hyper realist. I want it to look a little painterly, like Sargent is the kind of goal here. So, highlights. Let's get highlights. To that end, great nose wing there. I mean, the nose here, bottom of the nose, tip of the nose, all that stuff is very idiosyncratic, I would say. Or just you know, let's get it accurate. because that's what's going to make it look like her. We're going to take our darkest dark from the iris, the lens, whatever it's called. That's another thing I didn't do, is study anatomy. All right, now we're going to do all right, so here's what I'm seeing about the likeness. And we've done this on previous. In previous missions. What is the name of the actress that resembles the woman in my painting right now? Anyone? Well, last name Diaz, first name Cameron, and that's fine. I mean, there's a resemblance in real life to Andrea as well, somewhat. But what is it that's doing that? Why does it look like her and not like Andrea right now? Doesn't really matter. I'm just pointing it out as a curiosity. All right. Looking good, looking good. Let's get in here. Get a nice brush going here. So, highlights. Highlights. Let's get this dark color here. How's that? Interesting shadow pattern coming down this way. Let's see how the light comes down this way. How about over here? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay. So let's see. Okay. One of the things about painting, well, I'll let you find out for yourself, but there are certain things that I paint that I've learned that I'm not very good at painting. One of those is the forehead. I kind of hit it with all these broad strokes, trying to say like, well, please let this just be quick, and can we not make it take forever? Can I get it right the first time? Stuff like that. And you're never going to get it right the first time. So don't ask. Don't ask, Andrea. You're going to be posing here for the next 16 hours. Okay. So what else is new? It's the spooky season coming up. That's exciting. That means we can hope for new episodes, new season of Dateline. Which seems a little strange, because if you're hoping for new episodes of Dateline, you're hoping for new horrible crimes, murders, etc. And I'm not really doing that. I've also kind of gone off Dateline personally. I think there comes a point where you start recognizing the formula and seeing that I don't know. Some episodes are better than others. All right. We're really blurring things in here, or trying to blur. I'm not doing a good job. There we go. Okay. All right. Painterly forehead there. That's what we're looking for. So I think what I would normally do if I were painting in the studio from life again, I would probably grab okay. I would probably grab a couple of highlights here. Grab it. Wait, what was that? Oh yeah, right in the middle here. Yeah, you want to load up that brush. I don't know how I failed to do so dismally, but abysmally. Abysmal. I didn't load it up. Here we go. Generally the right spot. Let's find out. Can we get this little highlight on the edge of the nose popping? Pop it. How about this halftone? Kind of a cool. All right, here I am just, sorry it's a little boring, but I'm just laying down the bricks. You have to, again, it's the same concept every time. You have to lay something, you have to put something there if you want to know where it needs to go. You have to put it down and then change it if it's not where you want it to be. Okay, there she is. There's... Okay. Let's get a little middle value here. Another middle value. It's going to be haunting me for the rest of the session here. Okay, so we're going to grab this sort of half-tone thing. Hold on. Okay, no, I don't need that. Dimple on the cheek. And here is the light value to the left of her mouth, smile mark. Just plop it in there. Start to see a little bit of that smile. Now, one thing you can begin to wonder about when people do these sort of very TV. There's something very TV about all this. I guess that goes without saying, but when people set up and pose for these kinds of photos, I always wonder, when I take photos of people, I usually find that the first couple of shots are often the ones, especially if they have no experience in theater or acting or anything like that, and they're just person off the street. If you tell them to hold a smile for the duration of a photo shoot, you're not going to get great results. So you better hope that you design the thing pretty well off the bat. and try to get the first couple of shots to be winners. But I bet Andrea knows how to, how to smile for the camera for extended periods. That would be my guess. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, now, as we did yesterday, we found these highlights on the neck. We'll do it again. Okay, couple of highlights. Highlight here. Highlight here. Highlight there, just so we know where they are. And then we're going to take a bigger brush here and just swath in that. Okay. All right, here's their middle value. Another thing that I got to think a bit about, that I should be thinking about, is, well, I think we're sort of okay for length of nose. One of the things that I failed to do here was to get I really didn't do this very well. Let's carve down here. Pleasant smile here. I think it's a real smile. I don't know. There's maybe a hint that it's like, okay, guys, are we done with this shoot now? But, oh, interesting. Okay, what did I do here? Good. Here, let's grab the highlight. I can't remember if oh yeah, Rock Center, right? That's where it would be. NBC. Oh, jeez. Let's try this, where we... Can we clean this brush? This is where I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. All right, where are we at now? 140. We're about the halfway mark. I'm going to take just a quick BRB break. And then for the second half, we'll just crush it. Okay. Okay. So gets a little tiring. Let's try lock in here. Yep. Okay. So whoa. Let's get a shadow line here. Okay, so here's a good example of what I was sort of referring to earlier. You're going to want to... We don't know exactly where that... those darker lines are. But we don't need to spend hours trying to find out where that is. You can just guess and look back and forth and see, is that about right? Okay. Now, shadow line. What is this that lives over here? Okay. Oh boy. Hair. Put the hair in there. Yeah. All right, so I made a bit of a mistake here. And I need to figure out how to solve it, basically. The mistake was not... I don't think it's a mistake. It's just I was thinking of this as the wrong thing. This is her eyelid, lid line. And this... brush shoots dynamics. Kyle's Real Oils. Let's try this. Nice. Wait, what happens here? That's what we want. We want a white highlight. Why can't I get that color to pop there? What's going on? Highlight. Brush. I don't know. Better than nothing, right? Like, clean brush, load brush, whatever. I guess we'll have to fix that later. Okay. Now, highlights. Continuing our mission to find the highlights. Okay. We're using a new kind of brush because I thought it would be fun to mix it up. Get a highlight on the chin. Get a highlight in the corner of the mouth, or low light. What is that? A low light? Yeah. Bring it in here. Definitely too dark there. So the tip of the nose. All right, let's get more serious about the eyes. Getting right into this area here. Let's get into sorry. Excuse me. Okay. I don't like these round brushes. Guess it's okay. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Dark of the eye. Over here. Nice brush. I kind of like that brush after all. Definitely gonna want to get this resolved before our day is over. The cheek. Okay. Nice shadow line on the chin, jawline. Gonna have to revisit that because I botched it. Not a problem. Okay. Get a highlight here. Feed that in. Get a highlight here. Okay. highlight, not a highlight, let's figure this out once and for all. Nice eyelashes on the right. They don't just they're not, you don't see all the, when kids draw eyelashes, they do each little lash, and you don't need to do that. Each little lash. Under the eye, this whole sensitive area here on the cheek, under the eye, very forehead, back to the forehead, my nemesis, the old forehead. Let's get a little halftone here. This is a dark. I'm going to put it in. Put it in. Nice. There's some blending going on. Some blending and blurring, always welcome. We'll finish this up. So with about an hour to go, I see what I did last time a little bit better. Like, I learned this time, I think, not to try and cover the whole canvas. Like, for my own encouragement, having the face resolved before you go to bed at night is like pretty key, I think. So last time I tried to do all kinds of additional work down in the arms and so forth. So today we've got a different agenda, which is just cover the canvas, but cover the canvas as it relates to the portrait itself, the face. Okay. And you don't sort of have your sort of scary looking face looking at you tomorrow when you come back. again. Grab a flesh color and just drag it through. Okay, just blurred. Okay, let's resolve what's happening underneath the chin for right now. Okay, under the tip of the chin. Okay, we can resolve that. And then we can find out what's happening here. Oh, that's a lot more like painting, actually, that round brush. Okay. Really blurs. We gotta figure that out. We gotta figure these brushes out in the next episode. Okay. Not terrible. Coming along okay. And why don't we carve in here? One last time. We'll take our newly acquired, round brushes. Hit it. Let's get in here and resolve this. No, that's not correct. Get rid of that. I don't like to have a bunch of erasures in my time lapse, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And I think if this one takes 12 hours, we're not probably gonna see. Okay. Nice. Dun, 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 dun. You can see that sort of half-tone highlight. Let's hit this. We're almost. I think we just gotta bite the bullet here and grab these grab the flesh tone under the eye. Okay. That's fine. So And under the eye here, blur it. Then we can take our cheek highlight, see how that lives. Just sort of float it underneath the highlight. Okay. Whoa. That was weird. Whoops. There you go. All right, top of the head, hair on the top of the head. Taking a quick All right, so here, we're going to follow the old golden rule of taking a look from a distance. And deciding what is farthest behind. So, nose wing on the left, not even painted. Area under the nose above the lip on the right, not even painted, among other things. But let's start with that. And get a tone. And then we'll get a little tone under the lip, under the nose, rather. Mm-hmm. See what that looks like. Okay. We get a nice highlight that lives right above the lip. So we can continue this one over. Easy peasy. What else is happening here? I think one of the things to watch out for is our shadow. In other words, this. Did it need to come up like that? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Nose wing on the right. Whoa. Howdy. Let me read this properly. Archery Joe go. I know I'm getting this wrong. Archery Joe goes brr. How are you doing? Thanks for the follow. If you're new to the channel, we are digitally painting people from photographs and attempting to sort of talk about why it's different. Well, talk about art, talk about painting. Thanks. Thanks, Joe. Hope that's okay if I call you. Is it Orijo? Rijo. Is that right? No. I said archery. It's Atri Joe. Anyway, sorry, I'm probably just. I've done every wrong pronunciation. And I'm probably missing something very basic. Thank you for the looks cool, and I appreciate it, man. Or pal. Welcome. And don't hold back if you have any questions about what it is I'm doing or what I'm not doing. Fire away. I'm going to attempt to, in the last few minutes here, not few minutes, last while, I'm going to attempt to cover the canvas. Software, just Photoshop, and I'm using a Wacom tablet. I am a traditionally, classically trained portrait painter, I would say. I studied way too long, maybe. And so now I can't even paint anything that isn't representational. But I use Photoshop. Yeah. You use a Huion. Okay, cool. I don't know what I'm doing with digital painting. In other words, I mean, I don't mean, oh, I'm a beginner at this. I know how to draw because I studied painting for years and years. But I only later in life kind of got myself a tablet and started seeing what the software can do. And by that, I just mean I'm just drawing. Really, you can see I don't know what I'm doing with the software if you look closely. I'm just kind of like drawing. So I don't know how to blend. I don't know how to do anything with the settings. I just get the color and I try to blur edges the way I would as if it were oil. And if you're interested in looking at what other things I do, there's a link in the bio or link in the profile to my Instagram where they have some oil paintings on there. Yeah, thank you. So you saw some of the oils on Insta, and yeah, I sort of I'm trying to get better at oil painting, to be honest. I can get so far with it, but I really want to learn how all these painters blur edges and do all that stuff. I don't know. It's been a long road, and sometimes I don't paint, and then sometimes I get back into it. So, but thank you. I appreciate your positive reviews of my paintings. I like the way they look from a distance, but when I look up close at them, there are things about my brushwork that I don't like, and I want it to look more like something it's not. And I guess that's sometimes the struggle that every artist has. Is they don't work with what they got, and they're looking at other painters and they're thinking, why can't I have that? Why don't I do that? But one thing that's encouraging is that my paintings on the tablet here, my Photoshop paintings, look exactly like my oil paintings. So it's It's my problem. It's not the it's not the medium. Don't blame the medium. Um, but it'll be kind of fun to show, it has a nice texture. Um, you mean this brush that I have on here? I stopped in the middle. I had something that would leave these like nice things, and then I switched to a round brush. I use Kyle's whatever, Kyle's something, and I just leave the settings how they are. And one of the things, maybe you can help me with this, but I, for instance, want to screen ghost. What's happening? This is great. We got the crew falling into place here. I was asking Atrijo goes Atriho. I know that's it's like one of those things where we could do like what is that study of etymology. Like I can see, because I don't see the words split up into distinct packets, I can sort of see okay. Okay. Yes, it has been so long. Screen Ghost, I've been away from the desk. I guess I'll say I took the summer off, but I didn't really. I was just sort of busy with personal family things, and now I'm trying to get back to it. Atri says, texture is one thing I struggle with a lot when it comes to digital art. Traditionally, that's not that much of an issue. Right. Okay. Atrijo goes bird. Yeah, that's what I thought. So then I'm thinking, Atriho. Is the J silent? Is there? Yeah. So okay. And then thank you. I can call you anything that's convenient. I like. I'm gonna learn how to pronounce Atrijo. I want to go burr too. Is it hot out here? Is it? It's warm. I turned on the AC where I am. Do three different stores today to buy rope, but they refused to sell me. Uh-oh, is this the start of a Dateline episode? What do you mean? Why didn't they sell it to you? Meanwhile, I'm going to stop yapping because my screen cap suffers when I do that too much. Or the post-process becomes a real treat. All right, I think this is the way. Yeah, I had a teacher who more or less tried to get rid of texture. Not get rid of it, but like, you should look at some of his paintings, or I'll get them out sometime. They're beautiful, but they don't have impastos except for perhaps a little bit here and there. What did I just do? So even in traditional materials, I was trained. Weird. Look at that. That's strange. Okay. Well, forget it. Yeah. Awesome. Um, what was? Did they give a reason for not selling it? Was it like, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of why somebody would refuse. It's kind of a boring. That's like a sable brush. They did it, but it was so dumb. They did, but it was so dumb. The reason. Oh my god! Wait, what? I'm sorry. I don't want to laugh, but it's what state is this? If you don't mind divulging, where was this? I can't say that. Okay. Don't give us no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Scream. Maybe you told me that before, but why? And why do you say goddamn turkey? What's so goddamned about turkey? Oh man, I guess they're not selling. They're not giving people the benefit of the doubt. My goodness. That's too funny. I'm sorry for you that you didn't get the rope. Or do they also not sell like candlesticks and other things from like the board game Clue that could be used as murder weapons? It's a very timely discussion with our Andrea Canning. Oh man, that's not what I want. I don't want to do that. I don't want to blur like that. I don't like that. It's too. I'll use the round brush when I'm not doing hair. But accidentally, for the first time, I just used a round brush, and it's gonna now open me up to new learning possibilities. Well, so. Yikes. Probably suicide rates are like 0.02% in Turkey. They should stop keeping ropes then if there was only a very good point. Suicide rates are like 0.02%. Okay. Probably because I just tried to buy a 6-meter rope. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that. And if it's anything like Italy, where I lived for a long time, you can't just go to like the Home Depot to find your rope. Like there's only one store that might sell rope that's open right now, and within a 14-mile radius. Am I right? I don't want to make any assumptions, but it's part of the charm of Europe is that not everything can be purchased in one store, but it's also a source of frustration. Okay. Yeah. Well, bummer. And rope is not one of those things that you can just improvise with. You can't break out your tooth floss, and I guess you could rip up some towels and try to string them together, but I wouldn't recommend it if it's supposed to be for a boating adventure. Sorry, I'm thrilled to have chat active, and I'm going to try to keep at the task at hand because I often regret, I don't know. I look back and I'm like, wait, was I paying attention when I did that? No. All right, so you're seeing now that I'm using this brush, this round brush. It's really blurring edges, which is cool. There's like 3 near me and all 3 refused. Oh my God. Wow. A 6-meter rope. Why? Okay. Trying to do the math here. I'm trying to play Andrea Canning here and conduct an interview, but I'm not quite following. Yikes. See, this isn't what I want. No, that's not cool. That's not a paintbrush. Oh, man. All right, let's keep going. Andrea. Kyle's Real Oils. Impressionist Blender. Wet Blender. I like this one. I used this one before and I liked it. Let's see how it looks. Grab that. Yeah, that's a bit better. There's a little more drag to that one. Yikes. All right, it's not looking great. I'm going to knuckle down here. Wait, what? That's not my round. No. No. So, this is one of my biggest issues with Photoshop here. I want my brush, my paintbrush, my brush tool to be attached to something else. I want it to be one of these. My wet blender. Does anybody know? So now I have it, but it's back to my smudge tool just because I found this thing. My God. Kyle's Real Oils. Let's just go back to it. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think I figured something out. Jeez. Yeah, basically I think get the clunkiest brush you possibly can, because those fancy smooth ones are too much like, not enough like how hard painting really is. Let's just all suffer, right? There we go. What have we been busy with? So, yeah, I think so. I start with a grayish canvas digitally, because that's what I was trained to do with oil paint. And there are multiple reasons for that, but when I was younger and hungrier to be a authentic 17th century wannabe, I used to make my own canvases. I'd get the linen, I'd stretch it on the stretcher bars, and then I would mix up a lead ground and lead white, as you probably know. Yes. Well, yes, certainly. Yeah, that's part of the advantage. So I would mix it up. I'd use a lead ground because it would dry. Things would dry more quickly. It has a drying, but as far as the colors go, the reason you do that is because, like, if you squint, this gray that I have there, it's equal to sort of a middle value of her flesh tones, like something here, It's certainly not a highlight. And that's the important thing, is if, like, for instance, we'll find the lightest light on her body here. So like something like, let's say this is the highlight, and we'll find it. We'll compare, bring it over here. So just hear me out here. This is why we do this. You find it's going to be about here. Flick your eye back and forth. Does that look right? Yeah, probably. Okay? So basically, you can paint a highlight and it'll show up. So, why not start with a gray background so that you don't have to spend a ton of time finding out what that. So that's for traditional oil paint, right? But it's digital colors. You don't mix anyway, right? But you do have to see. In other words, you have to see this kind of river of light. I'll do it now. You have to see the river of highlight as it transfers up. Okay, I didn't think we were going to do this, but let's do it. You have to be able to see it and not be distracted. And that's just all about the way tonal painting works. Not everybody paints this way, but I was trained to do it this way, where color doesn't really matter. Tonal value is king, and color kind of takes a back seat. So to that end, having a middle value means you can use for me, painting is just drawing, and drawing is just being able to see to see differences in tonal values. So the sooner that you can see those things on your canvas the better. Otherwise, by working, it really depends, because sometimes I'll use this kind of bone ground is usually what I use. But anyway, yeah, it's like rather than having to isolate that highlight. Okay, you got it. Anyway, that you hit a soft spot, because I get super excited talking about this stuff, and then I won't paint for like an hour. So I appreciate you, indicating that you're satisfied with my response. But yeah, I like to talk about site size painting, and that's sort of what I was trained to do. And I've never really learned any other way, so. Okay, so here's a question for digital painters. Look at this highlight in the inner corner of the eye here. You keep going. Cool. Okay, yeah, sure. I thought I read a bit of, I see. I think I even read 3 I sees. So that's where I was like, all right, I'll shut up now. But you only said I see twice. Zooborns is, do I have it here? It's a website and resulting book series, which showcases the newest, cutest baby animals born at accredited zoos and aquariums. It's something that I started with a friend of mine in 2008. And since then, we've tried to kind of showcase the cute, keep an eye on the baby animals born at accredited zoos around the world. And so, yeah, if you click that link, you should be able to see examples, adorable examples. We got a gorilla on there that's just going crazy on the charts right now. Let me ask this about highlights with oil painting, with digital painting. So I've got my brush, all is well. Yeah, it's super cute. I think I thought it was cute 15 years ago when I started it, but now I'm just a jaded old photo editor. But it's certainly fun to see great photos and great videos, and know that conservation of certain species is in good hands. All right, I'm going to get around to asking my question. If not today, maybe tomorrow. So what time is it now? Okay, we've got 2 hours and 44 minutes. Let me keep going here. 2008 was 15 years ago. Was it? It might have been more. Oh, 11. Okay. See you later, Ghost. Enjoy. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And I was born in 1980, so that gives... it was a long time ago. All right, let's see what's going on here. Did I freeze our... No. Hope I didn't freeze anything. Okay. Let's see. That's my plan. I've had some things that have come up that have kept me from being able to do it recently. But let's put it this way, like, given that when I do stream, I've found, like, the fact that you're on here and interested is inspiring to me to get out here and do it more. So yeah, I think I'm going to try to do it, if not every day, come up with a schedule and stick to it. But this was really an experiment because I started out doing Nintendo speed runs, and I was like, maybe I should do some drawing here or painting. So but yeah, the answer is I would like to. In fact, I don't know where this is going, but so far I'm pleased that there's been a little bit of interest, and what I like to do is grab these time lapses of the paintings and put them on Instagram, and yeah. How about yourself? Are you a painter? I mean, you were saying you're a digital artist. What subjects do you typically like to paint? Here's an example. Damn. So what just happened there was I tried to grab a lighter color and feed that lighter color in here. But it didn't work. Why is that? So, like, here, look. Let's say I grab this light color and I go in here to try and it just blurs forever into the color underneath. Well, that wasn't a good example because it actually worked then. Anyway, I'll find an example and ask you how to fix my problem. All right. I would say that right now her eyes are really creepy. Okay, paint two. I learned traditional painting. I learned digital art by myself. That's why it's really nice to get some advice in digital art. Got it. Well, yeah, I think I should really be watching people paint and learn techniques and watch tutorials and stuff, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, totally self-taught with these tools, but my eye is decent, so I can fake it. So I'm just sort of faking it till I make it, I guess, or till I learn more. But that's cool. So that's why you like to watch painters on stream, so you can learn more about digital painting. One thing I want to kind of learn how to do, like, more illustrative stuff. Graves Canvas use was really helpful. So, this sounds a little cliched, but I think all the technical stuff will just will happen. That the most important thing is that you know how to see. And that's where I kind of get a little culty and suggest that people look into the sight size method of atelier oil portrait painting. Sight size is a means by which the artist. Have you heard of sight size? I know we were just talking about how you like. You were just saying that you basically liked learning about technical aspects of digital painting. But really, I think whether it's digital or traditional, it just comes down to being able to see and training your eye to see. And so the way I do this sight size thing is I take two, like let's say Andrea Canning was really in my studio here. I would set up a canvas that's this big, and I would play here. I'm going to put my "Be Right Back" sign on so that I know to cut this out of the time lapse. Let's say that Andrea was here. I would take a blank canvas with a gray tone on it, as we talked about, and I would set it up next to her, and then I would stand all the way across the room so that my canvas and my subject were at the same distance. Everybody's left just now when I started yapping. But it's really important. You look at the canvas and you look at the subject from the same distance. And if you can see them both in your retina at the same time, you flick your eye back and forth like this between subject painting, subject painting, subject painting. Exactly. You got it. So they're at the same scale so that you don't have to do the translation of, whatever it is people do. I don't know any other way of drawing. So, I started studying that tradition, in that tradition when I was 18, and I have not ever done it any other way. So even when I sketch on a notepad, I'm flicking my eye back and forth and I'm doing sight size. I wish, in fact, I was encouraged when I'm drawing from the model to let go of sight size, but my brain just like completely clamped down on this sight size thing and I've never stopped. So, but anyway, you get the idea. When it's at the same side. Yes, that's kind of what I'm doing, right? And the only problem is, like from this, I want to be able to do. Yeah, this is about like when you're in a studio, you kind of want to be able to get this far away from the subject and look and flick your eye back and forth. The proportions will never be the same because when you get closer to the subject, the forms turn, but you can at least see more up close how anatomy works and things like that. And then you step back again and see how that observation fits into the bigger picture. So you can do this digitally. And in fact, that's sort of what I'm doing here is I'm like trying to show people that it can be done digitally and you can learn how to paint and draw using these techniques digitally. And maybe somebody wants to do a course. So that's kind of like the hope is that somebody wants to actually like study this style in real life or digital or both. So, you'll see kind of, it's like, it's a sort of, yeah, I think so too. I mean, I couldn't see doing it any other way, to be honest. Why did I just do that? Okay, I just did some, oh shoot. What I did. I got carried away again. All right, so another thing about this method that we do is we're not like hyper realists in that we start at the top and we just do the eye and then we do, you see a lot of people who are like doing super photorealism. They just like work in little patches at a time and slowly spread out. What I do is I try to keep the whole thing going at once. So I look at what's the farthest behind and I when you see what's the farthest thing behind. So in this case, barring the arms, I'm looking at the head and I'm flicking my eye back and forth and I'm seeing, okay, the farthest thing behind is probably, there's a lot, but one of them is this area here, the corner of the eye there. So let's go in, grab a half tone. Obviously, okay, something like this. When you identify what's farthest behind, then you try to quickly resolve it and then get back to your distance. So when you're painting this way in the studio, you're constantly walking back and forth. You're walking up here, putting a mark on the canvas, and then you're walking back to the edge, to the other side of the room, and you're seeing, hey, how did that work? Was that better or worse? And this is something that like John Singer Sargent used. You can see evidence of this in like Renaissance texts and illustrations. Like Leonardo da Vinci had a similar sort of thing going where he would set up a piece of glass and put it in front of the model, and then he would just paint over it, and then, so like, it's like kind of like Renaissance, like matte painting almost. So anyway, interesting stuff. I could talk about it forever, but yeah, I have some kind of evidence of that. I may be fudging who's who there. I know Sargent used it because his models would talk about how they were afraid that when he came running up to the canvas to put paint on it, they had the sense that he might forget which one was the painting and which one was the sitter. So they had this kind of like, wow, this guy's, because once you get into the swing of it, you're like darting back and forth to try to get things down as quick as you can. So anyway, yeah, Sargent and the rug in his studio had a track beaten into it from where he would run back and forth, walk back and forth. It's good exercise. Okay, Andrea, how are we doing? I don't like the lips, but I think I resolved something about that eye somewhat. God, we're going to get, if you're interested in continuing to discuss this stuff, I'm going to need to do like a stream where I'm not painting, because I really can't, I can't give it like its due, attention, because it's, in some ways it's almost more important than showing how to paint. Like, especially when you're in an atelier situation, like it's great to paint alongside a teacher, and that's what the dream was always when you're an art student, is like, maybe I can work in the, alongside the teacher, and then you get to see how he actually puts paint down. But short of that, you would just have critique of like, okay, is the nose too big? Like, look at this. This edge is too sharp. Blur it, But yeah. So we'll blur that edge. Did I lose my... I would love to know, but I'm not too regular on Twitch. I really want to, but I don't get the time at times. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. So then the way to do it will be potentially for me to set up a kind of example of how you learn how to do this in real life, and post it to like YouTube and whatever, but not in real life, but you could do it digitally. So at least that way it would be like on the web and you could use it, but then in the, the best, there's no substitute for like having somebody critique your work in person, or, at best, at least, I don't know, at least have it be critiqued. Over, like where I can the idea is like set up a drawing in sight size, set up a webcam, or take a photo of your drawing and the subject, and I can tell you what I would recommend you change to kind of get the likeness better. But it's just a process. It's a process of doing that, for 10,000 hours. So it's, that's eventually you learn, it becomes second nature. And that's why, like, sometimes I have people who have taken drawing classes from me and they say, oops, see that? I chopped off her eyebrow. Dang. People take drawing classes from me and they say, I know how to draw. I know how to draw already. I don't need to be taught how to draw. I need to learn how to paint. And it always, when I hear that, I don't know exactly how to respond, because the way I want to respond is, you're wrong. If you know how to draw, then you already know how to paint. So, but to somebody who believes that there's some magic to painting, it's really not. It's just learning how to see. And the way you learn how to see is by learning how to draw. Oh, geez. That's gonna... Okay. All right, so where are we at now? We're past our 3 hours. Really want to try out oil painting once. It's like a medium I haven't tried, but it looks fun. Yeah. Yes, definitely. I mean, I prefer charcoal drawings, to be honest. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to oil, but it's fun. It's messy. You got to clean up the brushes and everything. I hate that. But yeah, it's definitely a beautiful experience in terms of, especially if you have like really high quality oil paints and you're using linen and lead white. Actually, it's hard to find, but lead white oil paint for painting the flesh is very satisfying. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put a bookmark in this. I'm not pleased with the statement I made, but it doesn't really matter because I know it's going to be okay when I come back to it. But let's just blur that edge. Oh no, that was silly. Something happened. All right. There we go. C'est la vie, Andrea. Atri and all. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi, and keep an eye out for the next schedule or the next stream or whatever. And thanks again for the for the chat and for having interest. You too. Yeah, please do. All right, anytime. Thank you. Take care. Bye, team.